Welcome to Cardinal Corner, a podcast created by Cardinal Home Center. I'm your host, Maggie Glass. For the next episode in our paint series, we're going to be talking about small paint projects that have a big impact on your home. I'm joined here today with another one of our paint experts, Steve Smith. Thanks for being here today. Can you start by telling us about your background working with Cardinal and what you do here?
So working with Cardinal, before I actually came to Cardinal, I remodeled houses and built houses from scratch. But when we were remodeling, I also did finish painting as well. And then once they took on Benjamin Moore paints, I just kind of picked up on it as something different and unique, and every project was different. So it always kept you on your toes. And then I've been doing it now for 21 years, something like that.
All right, so to start, let's talk about one of the more tedious projects, painting the trim on your walls. What do you think are the first steps I need to consider when starting this project?
First thing to consider would be, your wall color. Your trim color is going to coordinate. You want it to coordinate or contrast with the wall color in most cases, but every now and then you find people that just want their trim to be the same color as the wall. So is it a color that you're going to continue throughout the house, or are you just doing it room by room scenario? Because sometimes, you paint a room a wild color and you might want a nice wild trim to go with that color, but you don't want to carry it throughout the house. So every project varies.
So the time commitment too would depend on how much of your home you're painting.
Yeah, trim is very slow. It's the smallest piece, but it's also the most important, because even though trim is, like I said, it's a small thing, if you mess up a little bit here and there, it sticks out like a sore thumb.
Okay, so what then are some factors I may need to be thinking about to ensure I'm doing a good job, such as my preparation or maybe special products I may need in advance?
So once again, it's going to depend on the condition of your trim. Is it brand new? If it's brand new, you might need to fill nail holes, you might need to caulk joints, stuff like that. If it's already been painted, depending on the age of it, you need to find out whether it's been previously painted with oil-based paint or water-based paint. If it's been down for a while, you also need to make sure it's clean and free of any kind of contaminant. If you've got wood floors and they've been waxed, sometimes the wax will get on the trim and that'll cause the paint to not adhere. Or if you've got, 10 years of dust and nobody ever dusts their trim or thinks to bother to clean it off, you don't want to paint on top of dirt, because then your paint's just going to peel off.
It seems like even though there's a lot to consider for such a small space, taking the time to paint your trim is important.
Well, because once again, it can really set off, your wall color. So if you've got, white walls and you just paint your trim white, well, then it's very standardized. It's not very well thought out. But if you've got this, nice dark blue wall, and then you put a nice bright white trim, you've now created high contrast. And it gives a bold statement when you walk into the room, for people to look at more than just your walls. Now they're looking at your walls and your trim and the way those two colors coordinate with each other. A long, slow, tedious process, but probably one of the most important aspects of a finished paint job.
The next small paint project we're going to be talking about is accent walls. I feel like accent walls are a good opportunity to spruce up a room and be creative, but I also think that can be kind of daunting for homeowners. Where can I find inspiration for this sort of project?
As far as inspiration goes, sky's the limit. Usually people will pick up something in their furniture, something in the rug, maybe a piece of art, and they might pick up a color that you would not normally use, but it's okay for one wall to be that way. Take this room we're in, 3 of the walls are white. Well, if all 4 of them were white, this would just be your typical office conference room, and it would just be kind of lame. But we've got this nice blue wall that kind of breaks it up, and it gives some life. Now, in this scenario, it just happens to coordinate with the chairs we're sitting in. Whether they did that on purpose, I don't know. But that just gives you an idea. The color of the wall matches the chairs. So that's where you can find inspiration. Pinterest, YouTube, all kinds of videos.
What about choosing the right wall to paint?
There's no easy answer for that, depending on the space you're doing it. Let's just give the scenario of a front room of a house where you've got a porch people can see in. It might be the way the sun hits the room. If you've got a lot of dark walls, but the sun comes in and hits this one wall, and that helps lighten up the room, then that might be your accent wall that brings light into the room. A lot of people that do an accent wall have never done one before, so they don't know what they're getting into, and this is a chance for them to get outside the box, try something they've seen on TV or the internet, and just to do it. In the end of the day, it's just paint. If you do it and you absolutely hate it, it's not the end of the world, because you can just paint right back over it and return it to the way it was before. But at least you took that step to try.
All right, the final project we're going to talk about today is painting your entryways. I feel like entryways get overlooked often because it's not a room we spend a lot of time in. So what's the benefit in putting time into painting this space?
I mean, the benefits are going to be, do you have a lot of guests? Do you have people over frequently, so on and so forth? If the answer to that is yes, then this room is now a statement as far as the rest of your house goes. Certain colors you would want to paint your foyer, like an orangey, warm color, because those usually give off a warm, welcoming feel. If you paint them, shades of blue or purple or stuff like that, it's kind of a cool, calm, docile kind of, thing. So I guess it depends on what kind of aura you're trying to...
What kind of vibe you want to give off.
Yeah, what kind of vibe you're trying to give to people that maybe never been to your house before.
Right.
And then if your house is very eclectic, you might want to have some wild colors in there just to, this is what you're going to see in the rest of the house, and it all starts right here.
Going off of that, what are some other factors I should be thinking about when choosing the right color for this room?
Well, as with any room, what are things that are in this area? What's the floor color? Do you have like a knick-knack shelf type thing when you walk in? Is it stained? Is it painted? You want your color to coordinate with that. Is the light coming directly in this room? Because you don't want to paint it something dark and then heat the room up, but you don't want to paint it too light and then have the light reflecting so much that you're blinded every time you walk to the front door. So there's many things to think about.
All right. Anything else to add?
No, I mean, happy painting.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
If you want to learn more about what we talked about today, visit our website at cardinalcornerpodcast.com.